Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Doing something different today. It's probably going to be a short video. Basically on the tachometer, decided to go out on the deuce, and I can't get originals or new old stocks. You know, they're not a lot of money, but I figured I'd try to get this original one going. It's a Stewart Warner gauge, and I figured, you know, let me try to crack it open, see what broke. So what happened was there's a clock spring. Well, real quick. So here is a speedometer out of a CJ5, also a 3B and a CJ6. This is made by Stewart Warner. This here's an original. I got a whole Tupperware bin full of speedometer parts and everything like that. So this right here, this is out of this speedometer here. Alright, and here is the tachometer. They're basically the same. You got the same worm gear set up. The odometer dials have been taken out of this one, but instead of an odometer, this one has an hour meter. So I figured the parts would be interchangeable, and they actually are. So what happened on the deuce tachometer is the clock spring broke. So here you can see the clock spring on the speedometer here. Try to focus in a little bit. Yeah, it won't focus, but anyway, the clock spring's got a little solder joint here. Yeah, I'm still trying to get it to focus. This video is going to be real formal or informal. But anyway, it's soldered to this piece here. So I went ahead and took off the broken one here. It's a real small nut that holds it on. It's a 15/64. So I'm going to go ahead and take this clock spring off, this clock spring assembly with the bracket, and then put it on the tack and see if I can get it to work. And then also I'll go over, you know, we'll see if we can restore this face a little bit. I did clean it up a little bit. Also the glass, and we'll see if we can put a new decal on. I do got new decals. And then also try to re-gasket it, because this did have a lot of corrosion in it. And also the glass would fog up behind it, so we'll see if we can get it to seal up a little bit better. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get that little nut off. It's a little brass nut. Try to get it without destroying the clock spring. It's like almost like working on a watch. Real delicate. Yeah, there's nowhere for me to get my fingers in there and try to get it finger tight. We're almost there. Ooh. Yeah, this is getting kind of a pain. So I had to do a little off-camera struggling. Basically what I had to do is get the nut about halfway off, and then just get some needle nose, some real small needle nose, and pry up and get the whole assembly off. Yeah, I don't know why this camera's not focusing today, but basically this looks exactly like the original that came out of the tack. Here's the original. Don't know what I did with the bracket, but basically, yeah, so I think this should work just fine. Just gonna go ahead and make sure that I didn't bend the shaft on this, and it looks like I did. Yeah, it should be okay. If not, I mean, all I am is out of time. It's not really a big deal. Let me go ahead and somehow get the nut on the bracket. Trying to get this all on camera for you. Probably help if it was in a vise. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put the nut over the hole, and then this is hard if you got fat fingers. There we go. Alright. I got it dropped on. Now I'm going to try to start the nut without breaking the clock spring. Or cross-threading it. It's probably going to be real difficult. Alright, well, I'm going to go ahead and do this off camera, but basically I'm just going to get the nut started. Yeah, I don't know why this isn't focusing. There we go. Now it's not so blurry. Oh, there it goes again. But anyway, I'm going to get this nut started so I can get everything on the bracket, and then the clock springs are going to press onto the shaft. Alright, so we got the nut tightened up. I need to make sure I index the spring right. So, gotta make sure we hit the stop in the right place. Because you know you got, see, there's your stop. So here, for me to try to index it, this is how it's gonna face. And we got a counterclockwise rotation. So the needle needs to rest counterclockwise. So I'm going to try to spin this drum counterclockwise. Alright, now we're on that stop. So we need to basically, you know, your needle, that's 0, and then, you know, it goes clockwise. So it needs to return counterclockwise. So we got to make sure our spring is indexed right, and it looks like it's wanting to tension clockwise. So what I'm going to have to probably do is take it back off, loosen the nut, and then turn this bracket around. And a 1/4 inch actually worked a little bit better for this nut. So if you're going to do this, just use a 1/4 inch wrench. So I'm going to go ahead and take the spring off and then loosen the nut. Yeah, you guys are learning with me. I've never been this in depth in one of these. So, learning together. And looks like I'm gonna have to take it completely off again to spin it. So let me go ahead and do that off camera and we'll come back. All right, so I re-indexed the bracket. We're gonna see if I'm just gonna put some slight pressure on this clock spring to get it to hold. We're gonna see. And that should be good. That should be our, so as we go, oh, not even in camera. As we go clockwise, you can see the spring tightening up. So the needle's gonna be reading, you know, let's just say 2000 RPM. And then when we back off, see it reset itself. There we go, we're back on the stop. So I'm gonna go ahead and press it down a little bit more. Just using my fingers. Well, might have to use pliers because it needs to go down farther for the needle to go on. Just got to be real delicate, real delicate. And that should be far enough for the needle to go back on. All right, cool. So next thing we're gonna do is I need to find the tabs. Oh, okay, they're on the back of the original face. So I'm gonna go ahead and off camera, I'm gonna just clean this rust off and then we'll go ahead and put the face back on. It's just held on by these little press tabs here. All right, so I cleaned up the face as best I could. I took some 2000 grit sandpaper, started going over it to try to get some of this rust stains off, and it started taking some of the paint and smearing it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and leave it. Now I got, this is just pitting. I got all the surface rust off with just some 220 grit sandpaper. All right, so we got little 2 metal tabs on either side, and they're gonna go ahead and just go over the face. I mean over the bracket. I'm gonna have to open up this one a little bit. All right, let me try it one more time. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just hold it, and then we're just gonna crimp it. All right, we got one side. Go ahead and move over to the other side. All right. Go ahead and clean it off again. I'm just using WD-40. Once we get the needle on, we'll go ahead and lubricate everything. All right, so got our needle. And then this is where it gets real tricky. We got to make sure we're on the stop. Okay, so it's not, the weight of the needle will keep the stop on there, but for now we're just gonna hold it with my finger. I'm gonna go ahead and try to hold. Yeah, this is real hard, especially with the camera in the way. So we're gonna go ahead and zero it. And then just gonna press it down on my finger. And it's not enough. Oh, yeah it is. Oh no, it's not. Alright, looks like we're gonna have to press this in more. The clock spring. Oh, there we go, perfect. So I just pushed in the clock spring, the retainer for it a little bit more. So, should be good now. Ooh, yeah, this is super hard. Alright, you can get that on 0. We want this to be, you know, as accurate as possible. It looks like I bent the needle a little bit, taking it off. So we'll go ahead and bend it up a little bit. And if it doesn't work, I mean, worst thing is I'm just out a couple hours. So you can go ahead and test it. Yeah, it's not really returning like it should. Alright, so before I get farther, I'm going to go ahead and hook up the cable. Well, real quick, I'll just go ahead and spin it. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and hook up the cable to it and spin it. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and see what it does. And it actually works. Didn't really go back to zero. It's probably because, here, we'll try it like this. Perfectly centered. All right, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. That should be okay. Go ahead and get this cable out of the way. Running out of room on the workbench. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just lubricate the worm gear and everything. I'm going to use air tool oil. Motor oil probably could be a little too thick. And then we'll go ahead and move on and start putting the case back together. Alright, so got the glass cleaned up. I decided to keep the original danger sticker. The reproductions I got are like 3 times the size, and I just think it'll look silly. There's really nothing wrong with this one except this little tear. No, I'm just trying to get this smudge out. I'm having a hard time. So I'm just probably going to leave it, have some patina on it. Anyway, here's the inside of the case. There's a little desiccant bag in here. That's pretty neat. Also a gasket I'm going to try to put back in. I guarantee you this gauge isn't going to seal up because it was already leaking before. It was getting a lot of condensation behind the glass. Just going to go ahead and I'm going to try to remember how it went in. On the back there was this rubber cement here that kept the screws in, and then also on the drive here to keep everything from moving. There's no alignment pins that I can see other than for the this little notch here for the glass, or I mean the little punch mark for the 6 o'clock position. Just go ahead and, so we know that's 6 o'clock, and go ahead and drop that in there. Go ahead and zoom out a little bit. Not really wanting to go back in there for some reason. Maybe some of that rubber cement's getting in the way. No, it doesn't appear to. So we got our whole, okay, it's in there farther than it was. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put in the screws. Now that the rubber cement isn't holding anymore. Try to, at least. There we go. Yeah, this video is a lot longer than I expected it to be. Wasn't even really expecting to even fix it, but you know, that's why I always got to try at least once. You know, saved me about $100, a couple hours of work, because the hardest part was getting the bezel off. Without, if you can't get the bezel off, then you can't get any of this, you know, apart, because it all comes out through the front. So the bezel's probably going to be the hardest thing to take off and then put back on. Just go ahead and make sure we didn't damage the face. Looks like we're good. And then, if I remember right, this gasket goes over the glass. The rubber is still in really good shape for, you know, for being 50 years old. Just can't remember if the which way the lip goes. I think the lip goes the other way. I just took it apart an hour ago and I already forgot how it goes. Yeah, there we go. And then that just slides over this glass lip here. Alright. I don't see any locating tabs on this glass, so what we're going to do is line up the danger sticker. That was at about 3,000 RPM. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get this smudge out again. It's really bothering me. Alright, so like I said before, there's no locating tab, so we're just going to go ahead and line up the that danger decal at about the 3,000 RPM mark. I don't know if it was at 2,900 or 3,000, so we'll put it in between. Yeah, so we're at about 2,900. I mean, it's not a space shuttle, so there we go. And then next, there was no way around butchering up this bezel. That's just, you had to pry around the edges to get it to come off. I mean, there's really nothing I could do. So we're gonna go ahead and put the bezel back on. I'm gonna repaint it and everything. I'm gonna go ahead and get it on, then repaint it, because you know it's gonna get battered again getting it back on. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it off camera, but basically you're just gonna basically fold the tabs back over this lip over this other lip at the base, and that's gonna hold everything together. Alright, so the reason it wasn't going in all the way is I had the gasket in the wrong spot. It goes on the outside of the face like this. So it's a gasket between the bezel and the glass. So I'm going to go ahead and put the bezel on off camera. Alright, so I got it mounted. We'll go ahead and test it out in the truck. Make sure it's neutral. All right, y'all. Well, we got the tachometer working. It was a couple hours worth of work, but you know, it saved me some money, and it still got the you know, the tach it came with, so the hours will be, you know, accurate and whatnot. I am going to do a video probably later today, an overview of the truck since I did all the painting and markings on it. Just a quick little sneak peek. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and finish greasing the truck, do a monthly greasing and inspection. So, all right, until next time, y'all have a good one.